You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information. The views and opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily represent those of the network, its advertisers, owners, or sponsors.
Hey, this is episode 257 of the IT in the D show. Guests this week include composer and music producer Dan Yessian. He's going to be honored by the AdCraft Hall of Fame. He's going to be a guest today talking about writing jingles for some of the famous brands you probably know, or some of them you might not know, but that's cool. He's going to let us all know. And then we also got Gregg Garrett in the house. He is part of CGS Advisors. He written a book that got released today. #1 bestseller on Amazon in 3 categories, competing in the connected world. Should be an awesome conversation. Dave, you may fire when ready.
For listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
Following program is intended for mature audiences.
I'm Wyatt, that's Gary, you're Bob, and you're Dave. This is the IT in the D show.
This is Max Headroom. And what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now. And remember, IT in the D, it works every time.
Just where do you guys think you are?
The Library of Congress?
Detroit? Beyond the sun?
Any of those right?
Take him to Detroit. No! No, not Detroit! No! No, please! Anything with that! No!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come! Shut up!
Egad, hello, this is Pinky, the genius, the real genius behind Pinky and the Brain. And when we take over the world, the only show that people will be able to listen to is IT in the D with Bob, Dave, and Yuri. No!
Hi, this is Christy Swanson, and you're listening to the IT in the D show. And Bob and Dave touch my hoo-hoos.
So what happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bumhole?
Exactly.
Come on. Tries.
What the hell with this? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to the show.
This is Guilfoyle from Silicon Valley, and the only 2 guys I hate more than Dinesh are Bob and Dave. Suck it, guys.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka, Sweep the Leg, listening to IT in the D show. No mercy.
I may have to wait for detox.
Hi, this is David Kay, the voice of Professor Xavier from X-Men Evolution. Storm! Come here, Storm. Sit on my lap, Storm.
You're listening to IT in the D.
Are we at a break yet?
Hey, everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. You're listening to IT in the D. And if you want to get your money's worth, stay right here. And remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to IT in the D. All you nerds out there.
Nerds.
What is a nerd?
Hi, this is Ogre. You listen to a bunch of nerds on the IT in the D? Nerds.
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Hi, it's Julia Montgomery from Revenge of the Nerds. I listen to IT&D, and I'm in love with a nerd.
Hey, Detroit, this is Anthony Michael Hall. You're listening to my buddies Bob and Dave on IT in the D.
Hey, what up? This is Jay Muse, and you're listening to the IT&D show. Snooch to the nooch. Listen, Muse, Snoogans.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Pump. The IT and the D show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
I'm totally into Dave, but not so much Bob.
This is Robert Hayes, Ted Stryker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo bar, I'm listening to the IT and the D show. It's worse than Detroit.
Is there such thing as a meat hangover?
I love my Monday meat steak.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the IT and the D show. Tough guy. Oh!
Hello, smart people. Yakko Warner here, and the only show we listen to in the water tower is Bob, Dave, and Nuri at IT and the D. Good luck, everybody!
Hi, this is Kelly LeBrock from Weird Science.
So,
Bob and Dave, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do, the question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
What is up? Thank you for listening. This is the one and only IT in the D Show, and we are broadcasting live here in Studio One in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. It's Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with the crew as usual. Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG, Randy, I do the Twitters Walker. Find us online, itinthed.com. Do us a favor. Give us a like on the socials and subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold.
All right, so look, I think we all know the single router Wi-Fi model just doesn't work for our increasingly high bandwidth world. What you need is a distributed system like Eero. Whatever your Wi-Fi needs, Eero has the power to seamlessly blanket your home in fast, reliable Wi-Fi via Ethernet, wireless, or any combination. Simply set it on a flat surface or plug it in with a power adapter for increased speed and range with powerful tri-band radios. With the addition of a third 5 gigahertz radio, the second generation Eero is now tri-band and twice as fast as its predecessor, which lets customers do more in every room of their home simultaneously. With the addition of a new thread radio, Eero can now connect to low-power devices such as locks, doorbells, and other sensors. Meanwhile, Eero Beacon is half the size, but is even more powerful than the original Eero. Whatever model you choose, with Eero's incredible customer support, you can call and get a hold of a Wi-Fi expert within 30 seconds. Now look, you've heard Bob and I talk about this with our kids all the time and all the streaming and all that fun stuff. Nuri, I know you just switched over to Eero.
Yeah, I had the Netgear Nighthawk 8500s in my house, and I thought I was the most badass. Like, they're gigantic, massive, like, whatever. And
they look really cool.
They look super cool, right? And I would always keep having these problems with my signal dropping out, all kinds of weird shit in my house with wireless, and I could never figure out why. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give Eero a chance. I've heard you guys talk about it and have good experiences. I was up and running in maybe 5 minutes.
Dude, it's so slick.
And it's incredible. And I've got a large house at 6,000 square feet, and it's completely blanketed with amazing Wi-Fi that works in every room. I mean, I haven't had to touch the thing in almost 2 months since I installed it. I could not be more of an Eero fan.
Well, then not only that, you got so many people coming in and out of your house. You can give guest passwords on the fly that only last 24 hours.
Dude, it's so good. And they also have a security essentials that you can get for it's like $100 a year that protects you against all kinds of other stuff. It's a super incredible hardware, and it's just I love it.
Nice. So hey, for free overnight shipping to the US and Canada, visit Eero.com. That's EERO.com. Select overnight as the shipping option, and then enter IT in the D, all one word, at checkout. That's Eero.com, EERO.com, offer code IT in the D at checkout. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Obviously, we're fans.
Love you. Yeah, seriously.
Bob?
Yeah?
I want to start this show off on a controversial note.
Oh, no.
What?
Cleveland's better than Detroit, Bob.
You know what? No, see, you dropped that, but I'm
changed my mind.
I just I said that first. We went to Cleveland. We hung out with some friends we've just met from Front Porch Media, trying to start up a little podcasting company in Cleveland. And we're parked downtown. We're at a Holiday Inn Express, which I thought, oh my God, Dave, you booked a dump. And it's one of the nicer hotels I've ever been in.
Oh yeah. So because your room's right next to mine. We both open the doors and go, oh my God, it's a friggin' closet. And then you could like literally hear us both as we walk in and turn the corners and it's like, oh my God, this is the biggest room I've ever stayed in my life.
Dude, Holiday Inn's really up their game.
It was amazing.
But we're next to a place called the Marble Bar, and it was like an 1880s.
The Marble Bar in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Because there's a Marble Bar here.
Oh yeah, no, Marble Bar, no, Cleveland, yeah.
No, it was like an 1880s bank, like 4-story tall ceilings with basically marble pillars,
marble and chandeliers, and just
one of the most gorgeous places.
Everywhere.
It reminded me of being like downtown Manhattan. That's not the part that I'm talking about. Now, when we're downtown, they have these huge buses that are like 3 times longer than any bus, flying up and down the road. Bus stations in the middle of the road, mass transit going on everywhere. The waterfront's got stadiums on it, and people like walking everywhere and riding bikes everywhere. And I'm like, there was nothing bad about my experience in Cleveland. They've come a long way. It's been, I hope we're 10 years behind where they are, because
that seems to be the general consensus of everybody who's chimed in on social media. Cleveland 10 years ago was where Detroit is now.
Right. So, Pittsburgh was 20 years ago so I hope we're going in the right direction. And I'm like, we had a blast, absolute blast. What a great town.
Would you go as far as to say that Cleveland rocks?
Not yet. Don't ever say that again on this show.
No, but it was great, dude. We went on, we had our business meetings and did the stuff, and then we literally went to, I think, every little dive bar in and around the area.
Were they all right?
They were all.
Oh God!
Except for the fact that they were all cash only.
You're fine with cash only.
Well, yeah, none of them took
places
cards.
all over Manhattan that are cash only too. Like people,
and yeah, we became guinea pigs for several bartenders at several dive bars who were like, "Hey, you guys want to try these shots?" Sure.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm kind of I'm jealous. We're following our social media friends, Ming Chen, who's at San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, Comic Con's been great at San Diego for dropping trailers. And
that's the big thing.
This year is no exception, right? The Godzilla, which
Shazam.
Well, hold on, I'm getting there. But they dropped Godzilla, which you know is a precursor to Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Right.
Which is inevitable in the next 3 or 4 years.
Of course.
They drop Aquaman, which looks
worst superhero.
It looks, yeah.
No giant purple seahorse.
Right. Vinny Chase is the only Aquaman in my book.
Right.
And then you dropped it, Shazam, and I did not know Chuck was playing Shazam.
Yep.
And my first thought was, this looks awesome. This is DC's Deadpool.
Yeah.
And I changed my mind on that because you watch the preview and it's all origin story. Even my wife was like, "Oh my God, this looks adorable." I'm like, I don't know if that's what you want your crowd to say.
Adorable.
Wife to think it looks adorable. But like,
oh, that's cute.
Jokey jokester, the whole thing. And then, I've heard fanboys saying, well, it's good because DC's been dark lately. But then you get mad about Star Wars being jokey jokester.
Right.
So now DC's going jokey jokester, but now this is great.
Yeah.
So,
it's a thing.
Yeah, but to be honest, that's one I want to see in the theater because, I mean, it's not like Jim Halpert playing Jack Ryan. Like, you almost you knew Chuck, what's his name? Zachary
Levi?
Zachary Levi, thank you. You knew he would be something and Shazam, he's almost too perfect for it. The casting looks brilliant.
Yeah, no, big fan. Definitely have to see it.
Then one of the curveballs.
I'm still waiting for the Chuck reunion movie, but that's okay.
I don't think that's ever going to happen now. One of the Titans. That was one of the surprise because I haven't, I don't look too far ahead and, what they're making. And then they're doing apparently a Joker origin that's going to come out in the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Once you think you're gone, they reel you back in and they got so many damn movies coming out.
They're just going to keep cranking them out. We've had this conversation before. There's going to be at least 1 or 2 to 3 to 4 a year that you're just going to be like, must go.
Right.
Like Invader Zim, Enter the Florpus.
Crickets. Put the crickets.
No, I saw that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that looks pretty awesome.
And at 9:12, we get our first Shut Up, Randy.
I'm so glad you're here, Randy, because it's no longer Shut Up, Nuri. So I see a pattern here, though.
So the biggest, I want to jump into this real quick, Dave.
One of the things before we get too carried away, we forgot to mention Reasons Why I'm Single. They were in on the show last week. They have their viewing party tomorrow night. They're on Beat. Speaking of Shazam, they're on Beat Shazam, tomorrow night. There's the viewing party over at Falling Down. Starts at 6:30. Come on out and hang, drink, play, watch, whatever. And then we're at Maker Faire this weekend.
I think Shazam and Beat Shazam have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Just a guess, but
no, because it's a guy in a cape that sits behind the big giant digital screen.
Oh, and
answers stuff.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
it's him.
It is
yes,
him. Okay,
absolutely.
Cool.
Right, that's not Randy. So over the last 4, 5, 6 months of our lives, we could not have been more annoyed by the robocalls that hit our cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
That either are the fake IRS you have to call them back. They can't even talk to you live, or your first 6 numbers of your cell phone.
Area code and prefix, absolutely.
Yeah. But I'm glad to hear. I read an article that basically the U.S. breaks up one of the fake operations in India. Basically 21,
which is where we all knew they were.
Right. Well, no, that accent didn't give it away or anything.
Yeah.
Basically 21 people got arrested, and not only that, I think they're going to get 20 years in prison.
And being ordered to pay millions of dollars of restitution too,
right?
Which they probably can't pay because they're probably living large.
Well, this is Nuri. This is the part that makes me angry about. I like people. I think I did, but more than 15,000 victims in the U.S. lost quote unquote hundreds of millions of dollars.
And what the shitty part is they were buying data from data brokers and targeting certain types of people. So they're targeting the elderly. They're targeting immigrants. I get one call a week because I've got a New York City Google Voice phone number. So one call a week, somebody with very broken English calls me and says, "Is this the IRS? Habla español?" And I'm like, God damn it. And I've got this file on my computer. I pull it up and I read verbatim. This is not the IRS. The people who called you were a scam. The IRS will never call you and ask for money. So everyone take a moment, talk to your parents today. Let them know the IRS will never call you. Tell you to go to the store and buy an iTunes gift card and read them the numbers.
Yes.
God.
Well, that's the part that gets me is, wait, if this is the IRS, why do I have to go to Meijer and buy iTunes gift cards?
Right.
Like, you've watched the YouTube videos?
Oh my God,
like
it was
of
so
them
bad.
Getting them back, like, wait, you're doing this?
They're so good at it too. Like listening to the scripts that they read, they're really good at talking people through this stuff.
Here's the thing though, I'm reading down towards the bottom. It's 21 people in 8 states in the U.S. Illinois, Arizona, Florida, California, Alabama, Jersey, and Texas. And basically running out of 5 call centers in India. So they arrested 21 people here in the States, 32 people in India running these call centers.
And there's probably another one popping up tomorrow.
That's the and another one
for sure.
Yeah.
But you think enough people would be talking about it at this point to make them not them not work?
Well, yeah, it's another one's going to pop up tomorrow. I mean, just, look at the business email phishing, story that came across where basically, fake email accounts where somebody says, hey, boss, gets his email spoofed or get his email compromised, sends note to CFO, hey, send money to this account, and they just do it. $12.5 billion
would it be
last year?
Those are the ones, like we had a Proof Point on, and that was the big thing where like fake CEO. I mean, these guys do their diligence. They're not cold calling. They know exactly what's going on in these companies.
Oh yeah, no,
they're hacking into
targeted.
they're hacking into their emails. They know what's going on. So it's basically email comes in from CEO to CFO saying, "Hey, wire $300,000 over to I just did a project and I'll explain later." And $12.5 billion to a tune of. Like this is absolutely like companies are being birthed out of this. That's how crazy these scams are.
Well, for sure. And then the one last scam, that came across the news that, again, gets back to the data aggregators that we keep talking about on the dark web. It's not, the individual breach. It's the collection of data that goes out there. So it's basically a scam where, somebody sends you an email and says, hey, this is your username. This is your password. You're getting this email because I installed malware on a porn website. I've got video. I've got both the videos you were watching as well as I took over your webcam. And
Looks like you were having fun.
Right. And I've got you while you were watching them. If you don't send me X number of Bitcoin within 24 hours, because I've got a pixel in here, so I'll know when you open it. I'm releasing, so I've got all your email contacts. I've installed a keylogger on your system. I'm sending these videos to everybody you know.
This email was so good too. This is one of those like weird broken English.
Yeah.
This is like me talking to one of my buddies kind of email.
Yep.
It's super good. And they've netted $50,000 in just 1 week.
Yep.
This is literally the Black Mirror episode from last season.
Like, well, and it is. I mean, and it's a scam. I mean, because, what it is they're using this, the data that's out there floating around on the dark web where, Ashley Madison gets compromised, a porn site gets compromised and there's, usernames and all that kind of stuff and passwords floating around out there. This is a targeted attack using that data.
That's crazy. That's like what, spear phishing even? Like that's really,
that's insanely targeted.
So one of the biggest bombs that dropped this week is the EU, just clipped Google for a $5 billion fine for antitrust violations for the Android platform.
Which, honestly, you look at EU's history with Microsoft, this should come as no surprise.
Well, here's the thing, and Greg, maybe you want to chime on this too, because we've grown up our entire lives. If you buy a particular set of product, there's stuff that comes preloaded on it. Some of it good, some of it bad. So here you are buying a Google phone that comes preloaded with Maps and Gmail and kind of the Google suite of apps. And that was it. That broke their antitrust violation laws. But
it wasn't the fact that it came preloaded. It's the fact that they forced the manufacturers to preload it in order to sell Android
with the
phones.
OS.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, it's
which was Windows and Internet Explorer. I mean, that's
not only Internet Explorer, but dude, they used to put some crap like Real Player and the bars.
It's the exact same thing. I mean, it's literally the exact same thing they went after Microsoft for.
But here's one thing I don't get. If I'm not a Gmail user, I won't use the Gmail app. I don't care. It's not intruding on my Android experience if I don't.
Verizon, why do I have to have the stupid NFL app on my phone? I am never going to open it and I cannot uninstall it.
I do all the time.
Well, if you.
And then I think Google released some kind of video showing how easy it was to switch things that were preloaded, right? Like
Yeah.
they dropped the Chrome off and put on Opera,
Yep.
and it took like 20 seconds. So there are apps that you can't delete in that.
Those are generally preloaded by the ISP.
Right. Okay.
But the issue was that if you want to sell a Google device, your Samsung, your HTC, and you want to sell a Google device with access to the Google Play Store, you must also include Chrome and
I get it.
Messenger. And then the other reason they got fined, this is two separate issues, is that if you want to sell an Android device, a hardware device running Android, you cannot also sell another device running unofficial Android. Even though Android is open source and you can do with it what you want, Google says if you want to sell the official blessed version of Android, you cannot sell another device running a non-blessed version of Android.
Dude, that's so weird.
Now that's getting stupid right there.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can't call it open source anymore if that's the case.
Well, so speaking of getting stupid, let's talk about the Dojo, the new arena that's downtown.
The Pizza Arena?
The Pizza Arena, the Dojo, whatever you want to call it.
Little sleazers.
Yeah, that has now decided, you know what, for the upcoming season of Red Wings and Pistons, you don't get to use paper tickets.
That's stupid.
No paper tickets at all. You
So-
must use your phone and an app.
What about all the people who don't have smartphones?
That's the first thing I said is, okay, my dad's not going to a hockey game no more unless he's going with me.
Yeah.
Like, because my dad has a flip, like a burner phone.
Think of all those older hockey fans, right?
Right.
Hockey generally pulls an older crowd.
That have had season tickets forever.
Oh, jeez.
Like I told him, I go, you can't have one area saying paper tickets. If you don't want to do it in every other, have one aisle. Don't just say no. Like, to me, that's such a short-sighted, stupid, bullshitty way to go about, because I mean, we did paperless last night at George Clinton, but we're all techies with smartphones. It wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Like, did you forget your tickets, Bob? I go, yep, I did, but I got them on my phone.
Yep.
My dad's not going to do that. Or like, not everyone's got a smartphone.
Dude, on the flip side of that, I was at Global Dance in Colorado this weekend. They had no electronic tickets. They're like, you must print out this ticket. It will not work on your smartphone. And I'm like, are you freaking serious? Really?
Well, they got into a big thing on the ticket and explained that not just the arenas, but they want to own the experience, right? They want to.
Go download the
District Detroit app that pushes notifications to you and then tries to upsell you. Then you got to buy your parking through an app now through ParkWiz.
For those of you who don't know, the District Detroit is the arena and the 8,000 acres of surface parking lots.
I had to uninstall the District Detroit app because either it would say it crashed, I had to put close app, or I would get pushes. And I'm like, I don't download, like the McDonald's app I downloaded just for the show to talk about it. I don't need you to tell me I need a coffee in the morning. I know I need a coffee in the morning.
It's like the Starbucks app. I drive by a Starbucks at 70 miles an hour and it's like, hey, don't miss Woodward 8 Mile.
Oh,
it makes me so mad.
But what are they going to do? Old man comes up there. I've had season tickets for 40 years. They turn them away? Kiss my ass.
I have a feeling there's going to be probably a
mutiny.
change with
this. Quickly.
Before it actually
very
happens.
quickly.
One of our favorite companies to always talk about is Uber. Uber apparently has an issue with what has been billed as vomit fraud.
As of all the things I thought I would read this week, that's the last thing I thought would come up on my. Well, see now, hold on. Let me go in backwards. Let me go in reverse. There's tons of videos out of Uber drivers or Uber passengers, canceling the ride like halfway through so they don't get billed and they just walk out.
Yep.
And then the drivers get screwed. And the drivers now are being aware to it. Saying just get out of my car, and it's causing fights.
Yeah.
But this one's the drivers scamming the people.
Yeah. Then there was a related scam to that where basically the Uber drivers would cancel a ride and then still issue a charge for the ride. And then, so I'm sure everybody knows, like if you puke in an Uber, you're going to get hit with like $150.
I thought it was $250.
Or yeah. Well, it could go higher if it's egregious.
So I've heard. I wouldn't know.
Allegedly.
Egregious puking?
Yeah. Oh no, they was just egregious bodily fluids in general was actually the quote in the article.
You just get a bad rating for farting, but you don't get a fine.
Right. So yeah, and so then people are saying, hey, I took like a $10 Uber ride. And then, you get an email from Uber that says, oh, your charge was adjusted, up, $150, $250. And people are trying to fight it and yada, yada. I'm like, like, do you now have to take video of yourself getting out of the Uber to protect yourself?
I mean, here's the good and the bad thing. It's stupid on the driver's part because you get an email right away, and the next time you open your app, you rate your driver and you see the bill, and it shows you where you drove, and it shows you how much it cost.
Yep.
So it's not like this is like some weird like, oh my God, after you see your bank statement at the end of the month. This is like right in front of your face.
So, but Uber sides with their drivers, though, because how are you going to prove otherwise? So they've got a picture inside their car, and all it takes is a picture for proof. People said in this article that they had to go 4 and 5 times back to customer service, and sometimes they'd get the money back, sometimes they wouldn't.
And there was one lady that it happened to twice in one night.
And then one who actually had the ride canceled on her, then had a cleanup fee as well. And she's like, hey, boo, I wasn't in this Uber. They canceled the ride.
Crazy shit. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because like if you we talked about it, I think last week, but if you're not watching the Detroiters this season, season 2 has been absolutely painstakingly hysterical. And one of the things I thought was hilarious, and I tried to show my wife how funny it was the two business partners they get in the back of the Uber, and the one says the other one's like, yeah, like me going, yeah, I'm Dave Phillips. I'm gonna poop my pants in the back of this car, and the driver's like, you better not poop your pants because my name is Dave Phillips. And the guy's like, quit trying to get my Uber rating down, and they're like going back and forth. I'm like, I'm freaking peeing my pants laughing, and my wife's just like blank face. I'm like, that's right, babe, because you don't call Ubers, that you wouldn't know this is funny.
No, that's why it's funny though.
Exactly.
And then, interesting article that was titled Public by Default. Apparently people are learning a lot about their contacts and friends and random people, because Venmo, the nice little, money trading app or money, you can pay people, receive payments, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. By default, every transaction is public, which means anyone else in the app can see it.
Dude.
So what kind of payments did they find on the platform?
They softball there, Nary.
Well, no, they said, some people are funny about it. They're like, haha, it's for drugs. Haha, sexual favors. But they're like, noticing patterns where incoming messages had like, emojis for pills and drugs and that kind of stuff. Outgoing messages were dollars.
Hold on a minute, because I've never used Venmo. I downloaded it at one point, but I'd rather just give somebody 20. Where is this public?
In the app.
Like, how do you know? How do you look up you?
If like by email address, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then,
so it's a Venmo API, actually. I just clicked it, and that gave me the last 5 transactions that popped up in the
random? Like random or yours?
I just went to venmo.com/API/something/whatever, and I have some guy named Jack B. It was a canceled transaction. I can't see where it was from.
13 seconds ago, Marcus Miller charged Ben Martin for a ticket.
Jesus
Christ.
Was
it a ticket or was it drugs, Randy?
Yeah, I got, hey, Tiffany's sending money to Emily for dinner. We got my niece is sending something to somebody for whatever. My, some random person I don't know is sending money to, it's.
Kate paid Catherine for ACE and iGel.
Knock it off, Venmo.
Yeah. So, it's a thing. And yeah, you can go into your settings and you can say, hey, let's make sure that, everything's all
but it's
private,
buried so far down.
And it's only shared to me and all that kind of stuff. But
what would be the purpose? Hold on. I'm writing an app to share money. What would be the purpose of your developers
having that public?
Of having that public?
I genuinely
You know what's even more confusing? Venmo's owned by PayPal, which you can do the exact same thing with. You can send money to people with PayPal. Why do they need 2 apps for the same thing?
I think it was kind of more of it seemed more private and less banky and.
Yeah.
Totally more private, clearly.
Well, it was getting picked up by Bank of America. Didn't we do reads for Venmo? Or like it was like
it wasn't Venmo. It was
Zelle.
Zelle, yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. ZLE, yeah.
The thing that got me the most this week, though, was the, we always talk about privacy, Internet of Things. Developers are usually terrible at doing security.
Right.
Like, refrigerators that can have Dinesh's picture put on them, things that. But the thing that was the stupidest for me this week is a smart vacuum cleaner.
What?
And yes, there's a smart vacuum
Not
cleaner.
a Roomba.
It's like a Roomba in the fact that it's a small disc that drives around your house, but it actually has Wi-Fi in it as well and a camera, a night vision camera. So apparently security researchers found that they could run malicious code on it because the admin password nobody changes. Who would change the admin password on your vacuum cleaner?
No one.
Who even knows their vacuum cleaner has an admin password?
That too.
I'm just thinking like, somebody like the thing following you around the house, filming your every move. Like you're in your bed, laying there watching TV, the vacuum comes in, it beeps at you twice. You're like, hey vacuum, what are you doing? And it beeps at you twice. And this is what kind of world we live in with a vacuum cleaner.
Well, no, because it used to be like, remember when they used to put cameras in the houses back in the day. Then you could subscribe and then watch it. Now it's just like people are hacking into the cams. People install themselves.
Of course.
You know,
because people don't pay. Yeah.
Vacuumcams.com, I think. Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, if not, I'm sure it's about to be.
We have vacuum cam girls.
Right. The ladies in the shower, and then here comes the vacuum in the shower. Like,
beep, beep.
Exactly.
Listeners, go change the passwords on your Dickie 360 smart vacuums.
Is that called a Dickie?
Diquee. I don't know how you pronounce it. Dickie?
Dickie. Come on. No, I don't know.
Or question your life that you have a smart vacuum.
That's smart, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back. Dan Yessian, founder of Yessian Music. This is the IT in the D Show.
And we'll be right back.
ITinthed.com.
Hey, welcome back. Segment 2, episode 257. This is the one and only IT in the D Show, broadcasting live here in Studio One in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. It's Bob the Sales Guy, Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG, Randy, I'm doing the Twitter's Walker. Find us online, ITinthed.com, and do us a favor, give us a like on the socials and subscribe to us everywhere fine podcasts are sold. Hey, segment 2 this week, we are joined by guest Dan Yessian. He's the founder of Yessian Music. How you doing? You on the line?
I'm here.
How you doing? So happy you could join us. So talk to me. You're getting in, right off the bat, you're getting introduced into the AdCraft Hall of Fame. What in the world did you do to get that honor?
Well, I guess I stayed around for many, many years doing the same thing, so they had to give something to old people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I've been in the business for the last 46 years, and but the good thing is that there are 9 other inductees into this, and there are people that are out of the advertising agency community. I happen to be a little bit more unique than that because we're a supplier to advertising agencies, and that we create music for commercials, and also for a lot of other things, be they television shows, theme parks across the world, and things like that.
And not only that, I mean, you were the first company that started out of a bait shop that business wasn't selling worms. How did that happen?
That is a crazy story. Yes, well, I started in 1971, looking for a space to put up my shingle. You know, I had taught school before that for 4 years. I taught at Redford High School in Detroit. I taught speech and English, but right after, in 71, I wanted to open up my music thing, and I got very, very close to a deal where I could get 200 square feet for $50 a month right next to a recording studio that I worked out of. So,
why wouldn't you?
It worked. Yeah, of course. You know, back then, well, $50, you know, it was pretty good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so writing jingles, you're walking on a fine line. You go a little bit to the right and you have an earworm that's always stuck in my ear. And I know my mother and father.
Basically, Bob's begging to find out that you did not write the Summit Place Kia jingle.
No, you know, and it's so funny that you say that because there are some that when some agency producers would come into our studio and they would say, "God, I hope you didn't write such and such," and I would say, "No," but of course we did, you know. And I would tell them.
Well, no, as I was saying, if you go tip to the right and you're doing I'm loving it from McDonald's, and you tip to the left and it's like, I refuse to buy your product because I hate that song so much. I mean, how do you differentiate between the two? Is it pitching to the clients? Is it, you got a feel for that? I mean, because I mean, with the marquee of clients that you have, that has to be part of the process. No.
Well, naturally, the client wants to hear their name. I mean, you know, but the other side of it, when you talk about earworms, it also has a lot to do with what kind of media dollars are being spent for a particular product. So I could do a jingle that would play one time, and you might not remember it because it only played once. But on the other hand, if you did something like I did 35 years ago for Dietrich, dependability,
right?
Dietrich. So that by the way, we're going to try to get that into the Guinness Book of Records because it still plays to this day. It plays around the holidays.
Did you happen to see the episode of? Did you happen to see the episode of the Detroiters where they did a?
Absolutely,
it was genius. Yeah.
It was, and of course, that's for us. It's flattery because in satire there is flattery. So
absolutely. So I mean, was that your? I don't want to say most famous, or at least most known locally. I mean, it's with the, I'm looking now, Coca-Cola, Ford, IKEA, McDonald's, Porsche, Walmart. I mean, these are the juggernauts of industry.
Yeah. But as I started out doing music for Sesame Street and Electric Company and a show that emanated out of Detroit called Hot Fudge.
I loved Hot Fudge.
No way.
You did the Hot Fudge song? Yeah. I still know it. Hot Fudge. Right
Fudge.
On. Whoa. That's amazing.
Anyway, so and then I started going from one place to the other, trying to sell car jingles, and then after that, got into doing some national stuff. Dodge Boys Have More Fun, Whirlpool, Spirit Airlines, Catch the Spirit, Think Ford First. So there was quite a bit, but as the business progressed, we were able to get into other things. And my sons Brian and Michael Yessian furthered the company by not just doing our work here in Farmington Hills, but took it beyond to Los Angeles, New York, and to Hamburg, Germany, where we have our studio facilities in all those locations as well.
Beautiful.
So that was a good thing, and then we got into being able to do NBC with Faith Hill and Carrie Underwood for Sunday Night Football, The Blacklist, Revolution.
I love that show.
Thank you. And then the other thing is that we were able to get into doing theme parks across the world. So from Dubai to China to Canada to whatever.
So now,
it's been a long road.
Like when you say you're doing stuff for theme parks, like what kind of stuff are you doing for theme parks? Like is it their jingles?
Well,
is it stuff that plays throughout?
You've been to Universal Studios
in
Florida, for example. Well, it's that same kind of a thing. So that you had a Disney World in Japan or Universal in China or and various other activities where you're surrounded by environmental music. If you've gone to that kind of thing, that environmental stuff that I'm talking about, if you've gone to the World Trade Center in New York City, the New World Trade Center, the New World One, the New World Observatory, all the music that's up there is our music. When you get into that elevator and you go up there to see the expansiveness of New York City, we've got this orchestral type of thing that we actually did over at Abbey Road in London to produce an orchestration that has about 90-piece orchestra that plays music dedicated to the remembrance of that scenario back then.
That just blew my mind too, because you get into those spaces and you're having that experience. And nobody thinks about who created this music that we hear, or where did they find this music?
Well, it's always bad music covers of pop songs. And you're trying to figure out what it was.
But when it's smartly done and it's an experience, that totally adds to everything else around you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So we listen to
you guys have a great show, by the way. I'm not trying to blow your dress up or anything, but it's really good.
Thank you.
You can do that too.
Alrighty.
No, we downloaded your clip that had all your reel over the years, and it's amazing to listen to how the jingle market has really changed from some of the older things that were in there that are almost silly to us now. And what's the biggest thing you've seen in that twist as kind of we've evolved? Is that because of society or technology, or why has the jingle changed?
Things have changed. There was a book out it's been a while now that's been out called The Jingle Singer, A Dying Breed, meaning that jingles, they used to be there were jingles that were actually sung from one end of the spot to the next.
Right.
So that for that 30 seconds or that 60 seconds, you would hear for McDonald's or for Budweiser, or whatever it was. But now it's what we call music underscore. And there might be a little thing at the very end with a little sing out, but it's not that often. So those things have changed. It used to be that a jingle would hang around for a longer time, but these days, my God, I don't know if it's ADD or what, but everybody has to have something really quick and really fast, and blah blah blah. And come on, it's the next thing. It's the next thing. It's the next. So that's changed. That has changed.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to add to that, Dan.
Bad thing? I don't know if it's good or bad.
Yeah, no, I was going to add to that because you brought up a great point, and we were talking about this before you went on the air, and I said, I can recite just about every car dealership in Detroit from my childhood, from Roy O'Brien, get the best deal in town, and go to Telegraph Road right now, get a good deal. All of them. And it's like, why in the hell do I still remember these damn jingles? And it's like, I know they were all done by the Gaylords.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, but with the time, that's kind of what's getting into the same point. Is it that times have changed? Because there's nothing that sticks in it. Like, I don't know what the kids are going to be singing in 20 years. Is it going to be Weingarts, or
Summit Place Key?
Yeah, well, yes, that's a whole other deal. I guess then. And what will we be? What will those kids be singing? And God, I hate to go here, but what will they be singing in the nursing home?
Right?
Will it be M&M's? Whatever. What's that song? What's the 8 Mile song that he did?
Oh, Lose Yourself.
Lose Yourself. Yeah.
Lose Yourself. That's it.
No, we joke. We're all in our mid 40s, or at least me and Dave. Our Nuri's not. He looked at me crazy. We're going to be the first generation that is going to the nursing home, like with hip hop is like part of our vernacular, like that we've listened to our entire lives. So like we're going to be listening to Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac in the nursing home. Like,
well, yeah, I know. It could be that, right? Why not?
So so this award, I guess what is it? Is it like a lifetime achievement thing? Like what's the scope?
Yeah, it's basically that. It's that you've been around a long time. We need to give this to somebody.
Well, it sounds like it might actually be deserved. You don't sell yourself short on that one.
Well, listen, I've been around a long time doing this stuff. Luckily for me, I'm blessed that my boys have taken over, and they're in the same age as you guys, really. But it's an award that AdCraft Club. Actually the AdCraft Club of Detroit is the oldest advertising club in the nation.
Really,
and it's a pretty cool thing. And yes, all the ad agencies get together on their monthly meetings, and they learn from each other. They schmooze naturally. That's part of the deal. They commiserate and exchange ideas, and it's a good thing. I've learned things from AdCraft Club in the past. When Ted Turner came hawking CNN and trying to get everybody to buy into advertising CNN, which was a long time ago,
right?
Of course, but it's those things that you learn, and it's fundamentally geared for communication. To communicate, to buy goods. It's what makes our country go. To be honest with you, if it weren't for commerce, where the hell would we be? So it's got to be that or something like it,
right?
So I just want to get back to the kind of the basics of this whole thing. Obviously, music composition. I have no idea how that is done. How do you, like, when you start off, is it a trial and error thing? Do you see a brand and what they're going after, and you kind of, so this comes to mind? I guess talk to me through what that process looks like. Do you see it? Like, we're technology guys. So like Dave, for example, talks about software coding, and he kind of goes into this zone and just sees the code flying in front of him. Is that the way you are with music notes? What's that process look like?
Well, I'm a composer. My background is music. I studied clarinet and saxophone. I write using the piano. The process is where the ad agency producer or the production company manager or whomever it is walks into your place. They don't so much walk in anymore. Everybody's so busy they don't come out to studios much these days. But what it is that they give you a brief that you follow in terms of what they're trying to achieve when they talk about a particular product, and what that emotion is, how we should be feeling about that thing. And they give this idea to not just to you, but they give it to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 other music companies. And they ask you to do what's called a demo, a demonstration tape, but it's not really a demo. What they really are, what it's so competitive, you basically have to do the final product. In other words, what is this thing going to sound like when it's on the air? So you've done you've been given this opportunity, and you will, with the stipend of small amount of money that they give you, you're going to do a rendering of that 30-second or 60-second spot, and you're going to be paid this X amount of dollars. But you're going to do more than one because you want to make sure that your rear end is covered so that you can try to get into different places that maybe they didn't think about, they being the ad agency that's giving you this assignment. And so then they have, as I told you, they would have given this to several other music houses to do the same thing. So by the end of the day, they're going to end up with 15 or 20 pieces of music, and there's going to be a consortium of people at the ad agency or the production company that are going to make a decision in terms of which piece is going to be the winner. So you would hope that your odds are 50%, that whatever you're doing, that 50% of the time, you can turn it so that you're winning. That's the process. It used to be in the old days, you would sit down at the piano and you'd play something for somebody and you'd say, what do you think? It was one person, they made a decision, and that was the end of it. Now, it's totally different. It's music by committee.
Everything's got to be a committee, yep.
So basically,
And it seems to be the way of the world, unfortunately, as you guys probably know, because, everybody's in there making a decision to help you, supposedly, with what you believe they think you should do.
So if you have something orchestral, say maybe for Tag Heuer or something, you'd have to actually go and source that entire orchestra as part of your demo?
You would source a good question. You would source it with using samples or synthesized parts first, because to go to the orchestra then with all 30 or 50 people playing,
right?
The cost is enormous, of course, so you can only render it so much for them to have a realization of what this thing is going to sound like.
Wow, I feel like that's an incredible amount of work for a demo. I do voice acting, and I usually read these 3 lines and send me the WAV file. Mm-hmm. So it takes me literally 5 minutes to read for somebody, but it seems like this is probably a multiple day process for you to even have a chance to get into an ad.
Right. And you don't know who the decision makers are either, by the way. Of course, we know that it could be, the producer who's listening to you, or his companion co-producer, or it could be the producer's wife.
Jeez. Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so if we want to listen,
but I don't want to sound like it's a terrible thing. This is the business, and these are the things. These are the hurdles you go through.
Yeah, it's the process.
It's the process. It's very competitive, but it's also, it could be a lot of fun too, guys.
Well, it sounds like it. I mean, before we're running up against the clock. Before we cut you loose, I mean, what is the one that everyone knows, that the jingle that you wrote, that, I mean, other than Dietrich Furs locally, which is for kind of the older crowd, but is there anything that's been recent or anything that you kind of hang your hat saying, this is my Super Bowl?
No, they run so fast and furious with this stuff. It's Taco Bell, it's Coca-Cola, it's, the old stuff that I did when I started out, like Think Board First, that played a lot. Or Catch the Spirit of Spirit Airlines. Now, we're doing United Airlines, but we're using, again, a symphony orchestra to play George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue behind all the United stuff that we've done.
I still thought Spirit was the jingle.
No.
That's their planes.
Right.
Yeah, right. Anyway,
so how do we find you online if we want to listen to more of your stuff?
You can go to Yessian.com, YESSIAN.com, or you can go to and you can also go to musicology.cc, and that's where you'll find our vlogs where I'm interviewing various talent from Detroit and everywhere else. We also have people that come and do use our studio for recording. We've had Bob Seger over multiple times.
No kidding.
Very cool.
Anita Baker and so on and so forth. And then, but that'll show that you'll see interviews with me interviewing people who are musicians and singers. Or you can go to, by the way, Armenian Trilogy. I'm Armenian. I happen to be that nationality. Armenian, ARMENIAN.com. And there you'll hear music that I did that's actually not a jingle. It's a 22-minute classical piece of music that I wrote and then I had it recorded in Armenia. And it's a commemorative piece for the 1915 Armenian genocide, where 1.5 million Armenian people had been annihilated by then an Ottoman Turkish Empire. And I know this is getting completely away from doing jingles.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw that where it was actually played in the Armenian capital last year, correct?
Yeah, yes, exactly, yeah. And that was, for me, a thrill of a lifetime, guys. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. But it was quite a thing. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. Dan, we can't thank you enough for your time. Fascinating conversation.
Well, and congratulations and kudos on the award, obviously.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Bob.
No problem. Hey, it's Dan Yessian, founder of Yessian Music. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Gregg Garrett, CEO of CGS Advisors and the author of the new #1 best-selling book on Amazon on Monday between 9 and 10 p.m. in the Midwest. Competing in the connected world. This is the IT and the D Show.
And we'll be right back.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D Show.
ITinthed.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around with us. This is episode 257 of the one and only IT in the D Show, broadcasting live here in Studio One in Podcast Detroit. Beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Next week, we are going to be recording our first episode out of the Detroit Shipping Company.
Oh, yeah, we are
in
doing
our
that.
new downtown Detroit studio. Should be a great time. I'm really looking forward to hanging out there and recording.
And all the guests are going to be the folks that are there, the guys that own it, the restaurant owners that are there, the events people, and all that fun stuff. So it should be a really fun show.
I'm so excited about that place. That place is absolutely gorgeous. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah,
seriously,
it's the new hotness.
Do us a favor, find us online at itandthed.com, because you know what? We are IT and the D. And
you're still not.
Loves and kisses, hugs and kisses, muy muy.
Yeah, and if you're listening live, who knows, you might be. Don't forget, we get the thing with the Reasons Why I'm Single ladies tomorrow night over at Falling Down Beer Company, viewing party for them on Beat Shazam. And then allegedly, they're going to be on Fox 2 News in the morning on Wednesday.
Allegedly.
No, they are.
Allegedly. So, hey, we are lucky enough, and thank you for your patience hanging out and watching us babble. We have #1 best-selling author on 3 different categories. I mean, that's a big deal. You were being humble about it, but it's actually a big deal. We got Gregg Garrett in the house. He's the CEO of CGS Advisors, multiple-time offender on the show. But now you can say author on your Twitter handle that you couldn't before. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So what prompted you to write the book?
Well, I mean, the subject matter is what
what we've been talking about and what we've been doing with work and teaching up at Oakland University here locally and lecturing and things for many years now. But the book, we started teaching this class up at OU, master's level class in their MBA program, and all these students, working professionals, et cetera, they'd start coming back. And the very first year we offered it, I'd ask people, why are you taking this class? And they'd say, I don't know. The advisor said it was the easiest credit for an elective, nice guy, that type of thing. But this last couple of years ago, we started getting people to say, well, I read the course description and it matches my job description. And all of a sudden people were starting to say, this is, I'm taking this thing because it's really my work. And a few of them started coming back and saying, well, it'd be cool if you could come teach this thing to, and then they fill in the blank, my company or somebody in Arizona and that just motivated us to start saying, well, maybe this stuff actually matters. Let's write it down and see if anybody cares. And so we talked to some publishers and they said, we think some people might care. And here we are a couple of years later. It took us forever to get this thing out, but that's how the process started.
Awesome. I think we've been threatening to publish a book for 10 years now?
At least.
And we just never.
You guys would have some stories, man.
No, but we got a bunch of blog entries and it doesn't translate into book form. We'd have to kind of rewrite everything we've ever wrote.
Yeah. We just don't have time for that.
Well, there you go. Well, you made your decision. Obviously, that's good.
Right.
That's good.
So, I mean, getting to the crux of it, I was joking before. I go, do you have like the Too Lazy Didn't Read version of this, like the Cliff Notes, like me and books?
Well, no, I mean, and it does. I mean, the subtitle, whatever is, the future of your disrupted, industry is already here. I mean, it's a real thing. And we talk about that all the time, whether, like we always talk about Uber, destroyed the cab industry. You've got all these other things, Shipped is changing the way people, it's eliminating people.
No, it goes back to that slide. Airbnb doesn't own a hotel, Uber doesn't own a car.
Right.
On and on and on. So is that the crux of this or what is
it? It is. I mean, there's basically three things we deal with in here. And a lot of those examples you just gave, we actually use in the book. We try to tell stories, some of them made up, some of them very real from our past.
What's a widget?
You guys can figure out which one's which, but, we're really trying to deal with three things. One is the industry disruption. So some of the stuff you're talking about right now. The second one is the firm, layers of, really what's happening inside the firm and what does the firm need to do to change to be relevant in that industry. And the majority of the book is about leadership, really. It's about what do those executive leaders need to be doing to actually be able to change their firm. And some of the stuff we're talking about is actually timeless. The only real relevancy of today is that the reason for the change of the industry disruption is the technology. But things like inertia, companies not wanting to change and the reasons behind them, that's actually a timeless conversation. We just put it in the context of the change that's happening today, which is technology.
No, absolutely. I mean, my first tour of duty through, one of the big OEMs out here was 98. And the CTO, kind of pulled me aside and was like, look, Dave, I get it, but you're trying to turn a battleship, not a speedboat.
Yep. It's not an easy message to listen to either. That basically a lot of what we think is large companies. Some of them will fail, right? But if you want to have a shot, if you're working for this company or you're an executive leader in the company and you want it to work, you got to understand what's going on around you and these patterns. And so that's really what we've laid out here. We like to say there's lots of books and articles and podcasts and things around IoT or AI or buzzword du jour. But not
blockchain, man.
Yeah, that's hot. That is hot.
Hyperconverged blockchain, even better.
Is that a thing?
But what I don't think we've found is many, the business book for those, and that's kind of what we try to put together. Is what's the business book for the technologist, either for the technologist to get the business side or the business side to understand enough of the technology to say, okay, how does it fit into these business models that I learned in B school somewhere?
Yeah, I finally saw the YouTube video for Simon Sinek from like 10 years ago. That talks about like the companies that succeed are the ones that tell you why.
Yeah, the why, the what, and the how.
Yeah, not what we do, but why we do it.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
he went through a great example. And I never heard this story before about the Wright brothers that were competing with, what's the guy's name? I don't remember.
Samuel blanking.
Whatever. But this guy apparently had a bucket of money from the government. Basically was connected to the gills at Harvard and knew every smart guy on the planet and basically couldn't get flight, and the Wright brothers did in Dayton, Ohio, on no budget
out of their bike shop.
They were just compelled to get this to work, and they did. And then this guy, instead of saying let's work together, he just quits. So like they're basically talking about, hey, it doesn't really matter. It's why you're doing this. Like he talks about why Apple and not Dell when you're talking about like PDAs and phones and like the smaller devices. Like, well, Dell has the same technology, the same
Why
talent.
not the Zune?
Right. Why is Apple beating Dell in those markets? And it's like, well, because they built a culture. It's why they're doing it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of companies that do the same thing, right? The functions of the company, we make computers, we make electronics or whatnot, but it's the capability. It's the underlying way of the secret sauce, we call it in the book a little bit in that chapter. But, the unique way, the differentiating way that they're approaching that marketplace, that piece that really matters. And it's our premise. The reason that there's I mean, you guys deal a lot with recruiting and trying to, drive jobs around this marketplace and whatnot. A lot of what's driving out here is it's every single industry. It's not just the tech industry anymore. It's every industry needs specific capabilities to be able to compete in this world. And they're all fighting for a pretty finite version. There's a reason that the data scientist salaries are soaring because, all industries need to be able to process information because it's not just, it's a core part of the business model. They all want to go to services based or experience based or drive two-sided business models, a bunch of big fancy stuff. But at the end of it, it's really who can get the capabilities the fastest to be able to pivot and turn into something that they're not today.
Right.
And that's a big piece of it, driving back to, the why.
Yeah. So, well, we're staring at retail right now. I think being the one thing that's, I'm not saying I'm scared because I'm not scared of anything, but what's going to become a retail in 20 years?
Clowns, Bob.
What?
You're afraid of clowns.
Oh, I am totally afraid of clowns. No, I don't mind spiders, clowns. Spider clown, no. But if you look at like 20 years, what's going to become of the strip mall? The strip mall is defined of every suburbia across the country, up, down, left, and right. And what's going to happen? What's going to make of it? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the strip malls, one piece of it. There's a company that came out of Techstars Mobility here in Detroit a couple of years ago called Cargo. I don't know if you guys have seen those or we talked about them in the past, but they're basically they're awesome. I am big proponent of them. They just signed a deal with Uber last Thursday or Friday, exclusive, basically retail partner of Uber. They put retail inside the car, and so
yep.
Yeah, so they basically share. They do a rev share model. They're basically leasing the armrest of the Uber. And bring in the breath mints or the Red Bull or the condoms or whatever it is they want to sell to the passenger.
Kind of Uber you getting into?
Yeah, well, they are not. What kind of cleanup fee you getting into?
Extensive cleanup,
predictive cleanup. I like it. So yeah, for sure. But I mean, what is retail of the future? Is it the strip mall? Is it things coming to you, or is it putting it at the point that you need to consume it? And that's kind of an interesting.
Walked into Best Buy with my kids to kind of, hey, got a couple hours to kill. Let's go to Best Buy. Oh, it's Ghost Town.
Well, Best Buy is an interesting one though, because so many retail companies are doing very badly, but Best Buy is actually thriving, even when you put it up against Amazon. Like their year over year is fine. Their stock shares are great. They're doing well as a company, and that's an interesting question for you: is why is Best Buy doing well in this connected Amazon world? Is it their online presence or?
Yeah, I haven't studied them, but my initial, immediate reaction would be that there's enough folks. I mean, first of all, they're not trying to offer every connected product in the world. They're still sort of the something that still looks and feels like a computer with a little bit 20% add-on, maybe on top of that. I would think fourth screen TVs and whatnot, being part of it, but. They also, there's some non-tech savvy folks, right? And being able to go touch and feel and ask the question to the human being, all the folks you were talking about earlier who have that flip phone that don't know how they're going to get their ticket. Those people plus people that want the immediate gratification to see just how clear that picture is. And I think that probably has a lot to do with they're almost like a tech hub of the connected world so that you can drive out there. And then there's going to be people who trust to just buy it on Amazon. Well, they don't really care.
What it turned into, Nuri, is manufacturer. Like, it's almost like a mall.
Yeah, it's like a store within a store. You've got the Samsung store inside Best Buy. You've got the Microsoft store, the Apple store, the Verizon store.
Each TV's got their own separate. Sony's got the walls.
And they all have their own people staffing those stores inside Best Buy.
I think that's how they've pivoted. They've kind of become like a tech advisor as well as not just a retail store. And I guess all retail is probably going to have to go the same way. They're going to have to do something because we have empty malls pretty much all around us.
Well, yeah, you think of Best Buy back in the day, they were essentially what Micro Center is now. You walk into a Best Buy now, because I was just in one a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, because I was going to grab the smart outlets and the smart switch for the studio downtown. And, it was one of those things where like, yep, I could have ordered it on Amazon, but I was like, you know what? I want to just do it today. So, I walk in and it is, it's all those different sections, and they've got a huge home automation section, but they've also got a huge appliance section now. They've also got, a bunch of stuff that, was never Best Buy before that now is.
No CDs though. They took out all their CDs.
No CDs.
There's a bargain bin. My kid's like, you're lying. There's no more CDs. I go, it's in a bargain bin. They're gone. That's the last of the
there's
last.
no racks and racks and racks
Right.
of them anymore. Yeah.
But they're also helping. I think they're helping people with integration, right? It's not only the advisor, but they're actually trying to integrate all of these different touch points that they have.
Geek Squad, they're doing the service.
And then new in-home advisors where they come to your house and actually help you set up your Internet of Things devices.
Oh, really?
Hopefully changing the passwords on your vacuum cleaner.
But integration is going to be such a key element to, there's reasons that you can buy within the ecosystem and supposedly everything works, but not everybody can buy everything from the same mega brand out there. Integration is a huge deal for companies making things or providing services that if you guys start continuing to purchase things, you're going to have some expectation that stuff works together.
Yep.
And time for a consumer or a business, but time for a customer is such a critical thing that if right now humans, we talk about this in the book, humans are the master integrator of their life, right? You have all these different experiences and you can only integrate so much. But as IoT or connected turns on, the promise is, hey, these things are going to be easier. This information flowing through this product is going to serve you better. But can you imagine trying to manage every single thing in your life that's now connected? These things have to start seamlessly connecting. And so I think for a time, integrators like Best Buy, I don't think that's how they would ever market themselves on their 10K or whatever as the master integrator.
Right.
But I think that's part of it is, hey, help me make my TV and my smart home this and my switch and the connected vacuum cleaner all kind of work together, so we have some kind of idea.
So I can watch what's going on from my TV.
Exactly.
Right,
For my refrigerator door, I want to be able to see how my night vision
do I need eggs?
vacuum cleaner is.
Yeah.
I just thought it was the Gremlin that wasn't that the Kitchen of the Future when we were kids, the cartoons.
Oh God!
And you open up the door and you can see the little gremlin turn the light off.
The little gnome, yeah.
So you're really obviously being in Detroit, you're buried in the auto industry. Yeah. We talk about we've been talking connected cars probably for what? Since we've been doing the podcast 5 years. How soon before cars are talking to each other in terms of kind of like the way I envision connected car, and maybe it's wrong from what they're doing, but like location proximity, like kind of eliminating the accident. That those types of things where, how many cars are going through, and then smart intersections, things like that, smart highways where they kind of know the traffic patterns, the weight,
Yeah, so there's connectivity in the auto industry is no matter if you want to call it mobility or if you want to go back to the roots of the automobile. There's all different facets. And this is an old study that we've done at this point, but we looked at all the functions, all the actions of an auto company, and we about a few years ago now, 1/3 of all the things that an auto company does when you connect the product and when you start getting into connected, 1/3 of all the functions of an auto company are going to be shifted substantially. And if you then narrow into the retail, if you think the dealership, 2/3 of everything that they do is going to be turned upside down. And so when you talk about just the driving, just the engineering of it, cars talking to cars, it's a technology race piece, and it's the technology is pretty much there, proven on the micro scale. 2 vehicles, both wired,
right,
or a intersection with all the cars. But it's a 10-year car park in the U.S. that it's going to take about 10 years to flush through enough vehicles that it's going to matter for all these things to be connected. So you've got first engineering cycles, think 3 to 5 years. And then you've got, once the technology is ready, you've probably got somewhere between 8 and 10 years. So we're likely 15 years away on a conservative model for really relevant decisions and investment cycles to be made on the driving. I think the thing you're going to see in the auto space first is going to be, how are dealerships going to work? Is the Carvana vending machine of cars going to be?
It's ridiculous, by the way.
I just saw one in Phoenix. I was down there last week, and I actually saw one live. It was spinning.
One of the giant vending machines.
I saw one in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's like 10, 12 stories tall. It looked ridiculous. It looked so obnoxious.
It's getting the buzz though, right? I don't know how many cars they're actually selling out of these things, but it is interesting to imagine you can do it.
Right.
But But that's
next thing, what
more
do they got? The
gimmicky.
claw game now from I want that one.
It left a dent
They're
in my
not really
Lexus.
wired up right, so it just drops
Right.
the car
The
every
bolt a little too much on the
Knocks the
claw,
windows
yeah.
out.
Right.
You put your $30,000 in and you miss, and you got to try again with another $30,000.
Exactly.
Well, no, I mean, to your point, I mean, that's why I've always said, the idea of, fully connected, fully autonomous cars it's great. If you could sweep all of the people driven cars off the road and immediately replace them with those, because computers don't like what we do now. I mean, it's, the Saturday, computers do what you tell them to, not what you want them to. And you have a logical computer controlled car trying to interact with a completely illogical human driven car.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think we're ever going to see, at least not in our lifetime, we're not going to see autonomous vehicles being the norm. You might see a taxi or something, or a
Johnny Cab,
or a trucking company, maybe.
Yeah,
it is not going to be.
I don't know.
I think I would bet against that prediction.
I'd bet against
Would
that
you really?
too.
Yeah, and I think that you'll see it. I mean, first of all, long haul trucking and caravanning and these types of things. Maybe fully autonomous endpoint to endpoint. Maybe not. You probably will still need to have some human beings involved, even just to get the stuff off the truck, for instance. But the long haul, the route between the major metropolitan, the technology is starting to get pretty darn close to be able to get there. And now the maps have to catch up and be able to really drive out. The other places in certain municipalities like Europe, they're starting to change the tax code and understand that, listen, certain types of vehicles are not going to be able to be allowed in this space. And so that gets a little closer to the human driven vehicle versus the non-human. And the picture that for me cements this is if you look back at the early 1900s and you look at downtown areas, New York City is the one that I see constantly. Just over the matter of about 7 or 8 years, you take a look at a picture of it, and it's horses with one car. There's one mobile mechanical thing, and everything are horses. The major problem was how do we move the feces out of the streets, and where are we going to water these horses? And 7 or 8 years later, you have one horse and all the rest of the cars, and you've got a whole different set of problems. And it's how do I have traffic lights now to be able to deal with congestion and whatnot? If that can happen, then I think it can happen now, and I don't think it'll take the rest of our. I'm also your guys' age. I don't think it will take another 40 or 50 or 60 years. But I don't think
we don't really lead.
I will do think it will be more than 3 or 4. That's
I foresee more the cars are all connected, meaning like you can put it in, you can not be in sleep mode, but if you're on the highway, set cruise control,
yeah,
semi-autonomous. You sit in the lane and you can kind of, lay back.
Yeah.
But it's still human, like you can override and it's not going to be,
That'll be a phase for certain. I mean, you're seeing that already, like in places like Phoenix, you've got fully autonomous vehicles there, but none of them don't have a human in the driver's seat. They call them engineers and whatnot, but
going to end up in a shipping container getting sent off to Singapore.
Exactly.
I think I'm going to give it probably 25 years, and I think it's going to be illegal to own a car that you drive. That's my prediction for 25 years.
You can take them to a racetrack. Just same thing with horses, right? I mean, horses still exist. People still ride them, but they take them to specialty places to do it. So.
Look at look at every cyberpunk or, dystopian future or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the underground society always have? Cars. Self-driven cars because they're trying to stay off the grid and yada, yada. It's been motorcycles especially.
Well, maybe that's a big investment. You can grab a warehouse,
start stocking up on motorcycles.
On them. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a V8. That's what I never understood in Mad Max. If gasoline was so scarce, why are they all driving V8s? Why aren't they driving 4-cylinder turbos?
So what you're saying is go buy a bunch of Honda Civics and put them in a warehouse and forget about them for 20 years.
4-cylinder turbos. No, not Honda Civics. Those are POSs. Like you got a good 4-cylinder turbo. Oh yeah, they get 50 miles a gallon. Well, V8, kiss my ass.
But the funny thing about this, and to tie it back to the book, is that this could basically happen to any industry. So cars are just one, but basically any traditional industry out now could have that same kind of rapid digital shift in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, I mean, our premise is it is happening to all industries. And the one that's hardest, that I have the most difficult time explaining, product industries, it's just one after another. We can talk about the product being connected, what does data do, and now executives have a decision of what business are you going to be in, right? Are you going to be in give them the product? Are you going to be giving them a service? How are you going to monetize it?
Are you a data broker?
Right?
Yeah.
Product are easy. The pure services, I had a friend of mine who's a partner in a law firm and said, explain to me how this is going to affect my business. I said, okay, there's all kinds of different types of laws that are going to be created, but in general, how are you going to provide your services differently? It's a little bit more difficult, but it's the one step away from it is well, what information will you need to be able to provide your service? And can you get it in real time? And can you actually get predictive on either legislation or on, where a problem will be, the kind of the future of ambulance chasers, for instance, like you're going to need to know where the accident is going to happen before the accident happens so you can chase the ambulance, predictive ambulance chasers, these types of things. So I think that services will be more difficult, pure services companies, but I do even think that's
but you look at,
absolutely.
You look at like Lawn Guru. I'm just thinking of different, like old industries. Cutting lawn usually used to be the kid putting the little advertisement in your door handle. Yeah. Now I'm opening up an app. So what's going to happen to the lawn cutting service that isn't subscribing to some of these services, right? They got to still knock. Are they going to still knock on the doors? Or are they going to get drowned out? Right.
That's a perfect example. That's exactly right. Is, disintermediation is basically going to set in and people are going to, shift out. And some of those, it might be a slow death. That's the interesting thing. If you look at the research, big, healthy companies, the healthiest companies that are working on it right now, they don't see this as a challenge to them, right? Our premise in here on the whole inertia thing is leaders that see this as a great opportunity when they look at the future and say, we have all the capabilities we need to be able to get there. They want to move fast so they can just cement themselves in.
Right.
Other ones that see it as a huge risk say, I can see the future and we're starting to get cut out of it. We got to do something now. Sell off divisions, divest, get cash ready. Let's go. It's kind of the ones in the middle that are doing pretty well. They're not paying attention to the future. I don't think this thing's going to happen for another 20 or 30 years. Those are the ones that should be sort of nervous. And so if you're in a company and you haven't really gone through it, if you've gone through it and you've done your analysis, great, no problem. That's your decision. But if you just haven't really done it because things are so darn great right now, you might want to take a second look. You might want to say, well, every other industry, CDs, not around, movies, Netflix. Why is this not going to happen to us? I used to talk to our students and said, give me an example of products or services that won't be affected by this. And again, 5 years ago, they'd give me example after example after example. This last fall, they couldn't give me an example. They were
cereal.
Well, the production of cereal, I don't know, on demand. I mean, maybe that, a consumable food.
The podcast,
maybe
what?
Not, so, yeah.
Well, no, so I mean, it's like the example. It's like Sony. Sony owned personal media in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah. The Walkman, the Discman. I mean, they were it. And
single-purpose devices.
Yep. And they refused to acknowledge the coming format MP3. And, by the time they finally clued in, nope, there were a bajillion MP3 players out on the market, and Sony, you lost.
Yep. And those MP3 players were small computers that could start doing other things and consume a bunch of other ones, which, that's the history.
And now they make all their money on gaming, so they don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Pure services. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, no, I mean, to your point, it's, every industry, really very little places to hide, I think. So.
Yeah. Now, cause I was thinking, it was funny you brought that up with the whole cereal thing. Cause I was thinking of like potato chips, right? I'm just looking at stuff at the table, like grocery store stuff. Look at how that's changing now. So now we're already one step removed because Shipt, is a service industry that's crept up, that's doing all your shopping for you. But you've also got Amazon. That's a net ad, though.
But so then you've got Amazon that's rolling out. You don't even have to go through a cashier anymore. So now where do those cashiers go?
Robot circuit gerbs.
No, because I always think like when everyone talks about, and Greg, maybe chime in on this, because everyone that bitches about kiosks at McDonald's are taking jobs. And I said, no, I think that's bullshit, and I'll tell you why. You still need food expediters and runners. You still need people cooking. You still need people cleaning. You still need, you're eliminating and then now you're adding people that are software developers. You're adding people that are building these kiosks, these companies that have to fix them and maintain them, right? And all this while, maybe you're losing one net employee at a McDonald's location that's handling money. Otherwise, you still need someone to hand you a bag of food.
Well, you might or you may not. I mean, automation certainly. If you take some of the automation that has been locked in factories,
what's it called? Flippy. That it's like the $75,000 machine that makes the burgers.
Yeah.
And brings them and sends them out to the counter.
So didn't get my freaking order right.
Your fault if you put it in wrong now. But
Big Mac, 2 pieces of cheese.
So there is some potential for job elimination, I think, along the piece. So the side of the conversation, and so there's both sides of this, right? Certain jobs are going to grow, certain ones are going to fail. It's going to be higher skilled labor. This is a good thing for the country, et cetera. The side of the argument that I've heard over the course of the last few years that has made me lean forward a little bit is things like what type of job to demographic shift is going to happen. So if you, for example, I think this is the right stat, the number one job in the United States for minority, and it may be only African American males, is driving things. Right, driving forklifts, driving trucks, driving taxis, etc. So, if those jobs go away, yes, there might be other jobs added, but will the shift happen uniformly? Will every African American male have the right skills to go from driving things to coding things? Perhaps, perhaps not. And so, will this upskilling effect be equal?
See, long haul driving is the one that scares me. Because that's the one that they always say that's the most employed. It's kind of like waitressing for women that for unskilled, or for non-educated or like small, like that's the number one job.
Right.
It's like waitressing for women and then, long haul truck driving for men, like 2.5 million, I think, truck drivers, I believe, exist.
I don't know what the stat is, but it's a lot of them, right?
Right.
And same thing for housekeeping inside of hospitality. And there's a bunch of different jobs. And so some of them will be slower to adopt than others, but this is an interesting conversation for certain to say, is this the end or is it the beginning? And it probably sits kind of on what side of the fence you're on.
I learned
skills you have.
I learned the waitressing stat from Reservoir Dogs. It might be different. So it might have changed a bit, but anyway. So hey, we can get your book on Amazon.
Yep.
We'll throw the link out for it for sure.
Yeah, we'll throw the link out, but it's Competing in the Connecting World. The future of your disrupted industry is already here. Gregg Garrett and Warren Ritchie.
Yeah, Warren's my longtime business partner, friend, mentor for a while. He's the former chief information officer at Volkswagen and was head of strategy. So I learned a lot from him, and then we've done a lot together. We worked together since 2002. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's been a great time. So.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you giving us a copy. I'm not mocking you for signing it because I think it's kind of cool. We had one from another friend that signed it. I'm like, what are you doing signing it?
Yeah, I'm an author now. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what authors do. You know?
Right. /author/ comma author.
Yeah,
exactly. Your LinkedIn profile is going to be all messed up now.
So way too long.
Yeah. Gregg, always good spending time with you. Great conversation, man. Love, this is cool stuff. We love having you back.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Gregg Garrett, CEO of CGS Advisors, author of Competing in the Connecting World. Get it on Amazon. This is going to wrap things up for episode 257 here, the IT and the D Show. I'd like to thank Dan Yessian, founder of Yessian Music, Gregg Garrett that I just mentioned. Also I'd like to thank Eero. Thank you for keeping the lights on. Love your product. On behalf of Bob, Dave, Nuri, and Randy, do us all a favor. Drink up your drinks, get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Drive careful. Beat it.
The emergency disruptive system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy.
Make the run. The run.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth. Ruth.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in the can.
Joe, own the truth.
Bear me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would Buick put their cars next to the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't take that position.
That analogy sucks because it's right.
Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up.
Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just like doing like stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Yeah. Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city. I was banging on the wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.